What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm at the theater about to go check out Joker, Folie here in a bit. If you saw my last video, which I'll put the link in the description down below for that, you'll know I absolutely love the first film. It's my second favorite DC film after The Dark Knight. I just think it's a wonderful, well-crafted character study of what made the Joker who we know him to be today. So I absolutely love it, and obviously this has been one of my most anticipated films of the year. And it's definitely been dampened a bit by the reviews. I mean, originally it was like at a 63% on RT, which, you know, wasn't too far from like the 69% of the original film. So it kind of gave the vibe of like, if you like the first one, you'll enjoy this one. But then the full reviews started coming in, and later reactions weren't too kind, guys. I don't know. It's like at a 39% on RT now. People that I know that love the first Joker film that have seen this early really have been hating it. A lot of the other reviewers that I follow on YouTube, Letterboxd, Instagram, whatever, they've also been bashing this film quite a bit. I am interested in terms of just how gutsy this is and the big, bold swings that I've heard Todd Phillips takes in this movie, which, if you know me, you know I love it when creators really swing for the fences. Even if they miss, I can give them respect for it. So I'm definitely going in hoping for the best, but definitely prepared for the worst. Either way, I'll let you guys know what I think in a few hours. Peace out.
2 hours later.
Alrighty, so I just got back from Joker, Folie. It is about 11:30 at night. I'm exhausted, but I feel like I gotta get this movie off my chest. I'll start off with this. I definitely didn't hate it as much as I feared and as much as other commentators and reviewers have made it out to be. I don't think it's anywhere near that bad. In fact, I would say as a whole, there is a part of me that enjoyed this film. And I'm going to just start off talking spoiler-free thoughts, and then I'm going to let y'all know when I start talking spoilers, because I really can't do a review about this without talking about the ending of this movie. It's out there, so definitely avoid the internet if you don't want to hear it, but regardless, I'll put a spoiler warning before I start talking about it. But starting off with spoiler-free thoughts, I definitely think the performances were really great. I mean, once again, Joaquin Phoenix just owns the role of the Joker. Like, he really makes it his own, and he just gives such a stellar performance. Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. She's not in the film. Well, not that she's not in the film, I guess you could say, but she's not really as prominent as I thought she'd be, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, she plays a part, but she's not quite as prominent as I think the trailers and a lot of people thought she would be, especially since it's Lady Gaga. But, you know, she gives her own unique style to the character. This isn't Harley Quinn, like, oh, Patsy and Mr. J, and, you know, carrying, like, she's not Margaret Robbie's character, which, you know, put your own spin on it, that's fine. And this is, you know, the Joker world, so a lot of characters are going to be a lot different. I get that. So if you're going in expecting, like, the Harley Quinn, that's not what you're going to get. She's really Harley Quinn in name only, and she likes the Joker, and that's it. But, you know, I still thought she gave an excellent performance. A lot of pretty much every actor gave a great performance. I mean, it's a very star-studded cast, and I think all of them lived up to the role, but obviously Joaquin and Lady Gaga are going to be the standouts. The entire film, excuse me, the entire film is basically a courtroom drama, basically talking about the fallout of what happened in the first Joker film. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that this is really basically the epilogue to the first Joker, more so than a sequel. And having seen the film myself, I would definitely agree with that sentiment. The film really takes place either in Arkham Asylum / the prison where Arthur is kept at, or the courtroom, and that's pretty much the only two major locations that we get in the film. The courtroom scenes, however, I thought were really good, and they actually did add a lot of backstory and depth to Arthur. You got to see his motivations and why he did what he did. The music, again, it's a musical, so I expected it to be, you know, quite a few songs. Some were better than others, for sure, but as a whole, I kind of felt like they should have been a little stronger or picked better music. I'm not really sure how you would put that, but I don't know, just it didn't pop as much as I thought it would. Like, there are a few. There's one song that takes place during the courtroom scene, and I don't want to give anything else away, but I actually had a lot of fun with that. And there's one or two others that I think work pretty well for the most part. And, like, it didn't detract from the movie all that much. Like, there is a lot of context for it, but I just kind of wish maybe they had leaned, and I honestly didn't think I'd be saying this, but I wish they kind of would have leaned a little more into the musical element if that's what they were really wanting to go for. But that's really, you know, all I got for the main positives. There are a couple of cool characters and Easter eggs to the wider Batman universe, but obviously this is very self-contained, so it's not a major part of the story or anything, and they're very blink and you miss. So there is a certain character that ends up being a Batman villain later on that I'm not going to give away because of spoilers, and obviously we're like never going to probably get anything else in this universe after this film, which again I can't talk about in the spoiler-free section, but yeah, you know, it was just cool to see another version of that character, I guess you could say. And yeah, I guess the biggest thing, other than some of the musical numbers not working, sometimes I felt like, and well, it wasn't often, but every now and then I just kind of feel like this movie kind of seemed to drag a little bit, especially since it only takes place in like 2 locations, so it's like there's only so much I feel like you could do. And I feel like if this movie had just been 10 minutes shorter, it would have been a lot better off for it. But that's really all I can say for the spoiler-free section. So I'm going to go ahead and put a timestamp in the link in description below for where you may want to catch up to see my, you know, just overall kind of quick recap of the film and where I would rank this in comparison to the first, as well as my overall rating for it. I'll let y'all know that in the link below, but this right here is your spoiler warning, so let's talk about that ending. Okay, so for those of you who have seen the film or don't care about spoilers, the scene where, yes, the rumors are true, Arthur Fleck dies, and he dies in the worst way possible. And it kind of took me out of the film. Like, what I mean by that is the first 2/3 of this movie, I was actually really invested in this. I was like, okay, for the most part, this is actually a really investing, again, it's Todd Phillips really going for it, making bold decisions, and for the most part, I was digging it. Like, 30 minutes left in this film, and I was fully prepared to give this like a really solid 7 out of 10, like 6.5, 7 out of 10. I was like, okay, I kind of like what they're cooking here. But then the last 10 minutes happened, and that's an entirely different story. In this film, he breaks up with Harley breaks up with him because he says he no longer wants to be the Joker and he wants to put that behind him. So Harley's like, well, forget you, you know, I'm breaking up. Despite his best efforts to have her stay, she says, no, you know, I really love you for the Joker. I'm not as into you, basically, as Arthur Fleck. So she leaves him, and then right after that, like, the whole, like, well, okay, before that, he escapes the courthouse. There's this explosion, a car bomb goes off or whatever, so that's how he gets out. He finds Harleen, who's already free, and that's where all that goes down. So then the cops find him, and he's like, you know, I got nothing else to lose, so he gets arrested. And then this guy comes up, and he starts talking to like this inmate who, to my knowledge, we hadn't seen at any other point in the film. And if he was, he definitely didn't have a major role or like hardly any speaking lines. And so he goes up to the Joker, and he's like, or Arthur, I guess, and he goes, oh, he's like, let me tell you this joke, man, it's really good. So Arthur's like, oh yeah, sure, you know, tell me. And he says, I can't remember what the whole joke was, but then he goes, you get what you deserve, like what he said to Murray Franklin, and just stabs him like 10 times in the stomach. And so he's sitting there laughing maniacally as Arthur just kind of crumples to the ground and dies. And as soon as that happens, the movie's over. So this movie that was meant to be, you know, kind of an epilogue to Arthur's story and a love story between him and Harleen, the way it ends just really felt unearned and lazy, which really is unfortunate because there is a way you could have set this up in a manner that I think would have really paid off when Arthur dies, if that's really the route you wanted to go on. But it's just baffling to me that the way he goes is with this inmate that we hardly know, and he just, yeah, just kind of crumples over and dies. He doesn't get Harley Quinn. He goes out like a chump. Nothing is really resolved or satisfied. Like, it just, you could really tell they were trying to make this movie like The Godfather Part 2, but just ended up making it like The Godfather Part 3, and kind of even less satisfying in the process. Like, you feel like you get invested in Harley and Joker's relationship. You feel like you're getting invested in the storyline of the trial case with Joker, and it just, to be honest, it just feels lazy. And again, it just, I don't know. I'm very conflicted on it, and you guys can let me know if you see the film or whatever, or have already seen the film down in the comments below what y'all think about this ending. But for me, it just didn't work. If you want to know the truth, I think a much better ending would be, and this is only going to make sense if you've seen the film. There's a prison inmate throughout this movie that really seems to kind of look up to Joker as a messianic figure, like more so than everyone else in the prison. Like they kind of look up to him, but this kind of kid, for lack of a better term, is like on a whole nother level. And when he goes to the slammer at one point and the kid's chanting something, I can't remember what he was saying exactly, the guards come and one of the guards just loses his temper and strangles him to death. I think the way they could have done this much better, that kid that looked up to Joker, if you had Joker in a position where he maybe could have stopped that or at least intervened, but didn't, and then, he doesn't die, but he obviously, might get really injured, might break an arm, leg, whatever. Do something to where later on in the film, that's him getting his revenge on Arthur, and then Arthur just sits there and lets it happen because he has nothing else to live for. I think that way, if you set him up to say, okay, maybe he's the Joker that took inspiration from Arthur Fleck or whatever, that could make sense because then it'd become more of kind of revenge and all that. But I just don't think the way that they did it here in the context that they did it in really worked, and it really felt unearned, and it kind of made me mad at Todd Phillips because I'm like, you have multiple people sitting in a room together and not one person stopped to think, this kind of undoes everything that we've invested our time in. And I've seen so many movies where this happens, not necessarily like comic book movies or whatever, but there's so many times where I'll just watch a movie and I'll get invested and then the ending just doesn't pay off, and that's exactly what happened in this film. And again, it really sucks because I enjoyed the first two acts so much. Like, it wasn't on par with the first Joker, and it's definitely now not on par with the first Joker, but that was never in question to begin with. The first one is practically a perfect movie in my eyes, but it really kind of just left me feeling mad and unsatisfied. But that said, it's not a bad film. Like, I really can't sit here and tell you that I think it's not competently made. There's some really gorgeous shots. Again, the performances are really well done, and I did enjoy a lot of the courtroom stuff. There's some characters from the first film that make an appearance here, and you kind of see where they're at in life and kind of how their lives have been impacted and changed by Arthur's actions. So there's definitely a lot I like about this film, but that ending really brought it down a couple notches for me, I'm not gonna lie. It's a movie that I would probably watch again at some point, like when it hits Max or whatever. I'll definitely check it out again, and who knows, maybe I'll be doing a reanalysis of it on here at some point. My mind changes, but right now, guys, it's an okay movie. I mean, I can really see why I think a lot of people are really hating this movie, and I can see, at least, for the first two acts of this movie, why some people would really love this movie. So it's definitely a film to where, even though I can't say I love this film, even though I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the first Joker, I would still say check it out if you want to. It's a weird anomaly in that it's definitely a cash grab because Todd Phillips said that he wasn't going to do another Joker movie, but then obviously WB's like, hey, we need Deux, or, they need Doe, but they also are like, hey, this movie made $1 million, make a sequel. So I guess you couldn't say no to money, but it also seems like the kind of situation where WB was like, hey, you just make a Joker sequel, we'll let you make it however you want, because I'm pretty sure a bunch of executives didn't sit around in a room and go, you know what, we should make a musical about Joker. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. So it's definitely a creative vision, for sure. It's just not one that I think pays off in any sort of satisfying way by the end. So overall, I guess if I had to give this movie a rating, as of now, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I think it really is just an okay film. Again, there's stuff that I think the highs of this movie are really, really high, and then the lows, like obviously that ending, are really, really, really low. Which, at the end of the day, I've always rather a movie start off slow and get better as it goes along than start off with all guns blazing, so to speak, and then just fizzle out by the end. And this movie, unfortunately, is the latter for me. But I can't say that I was really ever bored watching the movie. It's definitely There was my guy Sean Chandler, who I love watching on YouTube. If you don't follow him, go give him a like and subscribe. He said this movie, even though he's not the biggest fan of it, it's just mesmerizing because you can't take your eyes off the screen at all the bold choices and the things that are going on that you just don't see in really a lot of movies to begin with, much less comic book movies. And I would definitely agree with that sentiment. I would say if you're going to watch this movie at all, you might as well go see it in the cinemas. But if you're somebody who you really get triggered at unsatisfying endings, I would say avoid it, or at least just wait for Max. I don't think that you have to rush out and see this movie, or that even if it gets spoiled, you're missing a whole lot. In fact, knowing what to expect might actually help your viewing experience, to be honest. But that's all I got for today, guys. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below. Did you enjoy Joker Folie? I know I've kind of feel like a little fog brain in this review. I'm just really tired, but I had to get this movie off my chest and upload this for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed, and definitely leave a like and subscribe, comment, share, whatever you want to do. Or hey, just keep watching my videos if you want. That works as well. Give me those viewership numbers, baby. Anyways, that's all I got for today, guys. Take care. If you like this video and you want to support the channel, just make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll really appreciate it, and I will catch you all in the next video.